Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Lettuce Plate, and today we have another Teamfight Manager 2 devlog to go over. So this is devlog 20, released January 13th. I'm recording this on the 26th. So I'm a little bit late, but I've been late to quite a few of these. I'm kind of just waiting for early access to launch, to be honest. But in the meantime, we'll keep up to news just kind of as it comes in and as we see it. But here we go. Let's go with devlog 20. The last one we saw was showing some of the ult systems, as well as the new map, Serpent, and they had the videos. They had the YouTube VODs, like, uh, for us to check out what the new kind of game looked like, and we went over some of the ultimates, and some of them, like especially Ninja, and there was some other ones looked kind of insane. So, curious to see what they have in this one. Haven't been spoiled of anything that's in here or seen anything in the Discord that people are talking about regarding this update. So let's just go ahead and go into it. Alrighty. Champion implementation. Following the last devlog, we are continuing to work on changing champion skill sets and adding ultimate abilities. Currently, a total of 24 champions have had their ultimates fully implemented. Below is an introduction of the ultimates of a few champs. Okay, so they're just going to list them out and like what they do. Dual Blader's basic skill composition, including the ultimate, has changed slightly. Skill 1 fires a sword wave that roots the target on hit. Okay, that's kind of like Swordsman, but with a root. Skill 2 can only be used on immobilized enemies, dashes the target, and knocks them airborne. So it's like, yes, it's literally Yasuo. Yeah, so it's a Yasuo Q3, and then they get knocked up, and then you can use the skill 2 if they get knocked up. Okay, ultimate. Ruthlessly slashes a single target, dealing true damage. It's Yasuo. Okay. This champion is literally Yasuo. There's not much else about it. Yeah. They throw the skill shot. If it hits, they dash, stun them, and yeah, so it roots, dashes to them, knocks them airborne, and then can deal a bunch of damage. These all synergize so well with each other. This is very like, it's very much like Ninja, where Ninja's shuriken and his skill 1 and his skill 2, where he throws the shuriken, and if it hits, then he can deal the untargetable like triple hit damage. It's very similar to that. But pretty cool. I mean, it gives this champion a little bit more of like, how should I say it? Dual Blader seemed like a worse version of a lot of the other really good characters from the demo. Like, it just kind of seemed like a worse Lancer or worse Ninja in the last one, but this is much more like, this could be completely overpowered if the numbers like allow it to be, I guess. Where if the damage numbers and the cooldown of these spells are too high, then this character would be very, very like mainstream in the meta, from what I would assume. But looks pretty cool. Looks very looks interesting. There's not much else like it in the game, so it's pretty cool. When the ogre uses his ultimate, his max HP and size significantly increase significantly for a certain duration. When the archer uses her ultimate, she fires a barrage of arrows at enemies from her current position. So ogre becomes huge. It's kind of like a Mundo type of thing, but he gets really big. Pretty cool. All right, and then is Archer's ult in here? Let me just wait and see. Yeah, it's like a rapid fire. Okay, I saw that. Cool. It's like a barrage. I don't know if there's like a league spell like that. Maybe like a bullet time, like a misfortune bullet time, sort of, but more like in a straight line than AoE. But that's pretty cool. I like that. It also, one reason why Archer was so strong before was she had a very low cooldown, like dash, high move speed. She was kind of like really, she could kite very easily, and her ult being something that roots her in place, I think is a good way to add something like cool and unique that also kind of presents somewhat of a weakness to the character. Like if she stopped an ulting, then like people can kind of close the, melee characters can kind of close the gap on her, I guess. So that's pretty nice. I like the spell. It looks cool too. This is a spell that doesn't look overwhelming like some of the other ultimates in the game, in my opinion. But it looks like cool and interesting and on theme with the characters, so really cool. And then ogre just becoming big. Who doesn't love a giant big tank just getting in there and messing everything up? So okay, when Magic Knight uses his ultimate is, oh, I didn't realize it was a guy. It looks like a girl. Magic Knight uses his ultimate. Uses his ultimate. She gains. Okay, so it's just maybe it's a translation thing that went wrong there. They gain increase attack power and attack range for a certain duration, and her first skill is triggered with every basic attack. So the first skill is the straight line thing? Holy moly. Okay. So she could use the skill 2, that big AoE gravity field, to pull everyone in, and then all of her autos are just like that AoE auto, and she's just slamming everyone. Okay. Increase attack power and range. That's pretty cool. I wonder how the range works with um I wonder how the range works with how her AoE works, because say her programming is like to where I wish I could freeze frame this. Actually, I can. Give me 1 second. So, let me see how this looks. Perfect. Okay. So, say that the straight line, so if she's trying to hit these two characters, like, so let's say this is where she would be normally standing, her autos would go like this, but because she has increased attack range now, let's say she can auto these two characters from here. Her ranged auto attack thing might not reach all the way. Like, if the range isn't long enough to where from where she's autoing she can deal like pass through AoE damage to these people, then she could have anti synergy with her ult and what her skill 1 do. So there's a bit of a payoff where if her skill 1 doesn't extend in range by the same, so say she's standing here and she can hit this long. If she's standing here, but the same skill is going this far, then she won't hit people that are at this longer range. Does that make sense? Like, there can be anti-synergy with a ranged AoE spell being cast from further range. And this is something where in a MOBA, if you were the player controlling it, this would be a player's skill thing where, like, you could judge how far away you need it to be for the pass-through damage to hit all the characters you're trying to hit. Whereas an AI like this probably has some type of coding that just says, like, I have increased attack range, let me hit from as far away as possible. Like, there's probably some logic that's telling them to prioritize hitting from further away, where maybe, like, if there's a clump of enemies like right here, this wouldn't reach. You know what I'm saying? That's such a niche thing, and like, that's just the first, I'm so like league brained, that's like one of the first things that comes to my mind when I look at a skill like this. But it is something to think about, and I wonder if they have the correct type of logic in place for this ultimate to work this way. Because if she gets longer range and her skill 1 doesn't get longer range, then she's going to be missing damage on things that otherwise she would be hitting if she were in closer range. So it's just interesting. I feel like it wouldn't make that big of a difference, but like I said, if they don't extend the range, it will make a difference at certain points, and it could be like completely unintentional. I can't pause the GIF. So there's the normal range. It looks similarly ranged. So it has this like red, there's like it turns red instead of purple when her ult's active. So there's a red line, and there's another one here, another red line, and then there's the purple one. It looks like it's the same range. So I'm curious to see. No, wait, it literally does it in the thing. Look at this. This one right here. Oh no, she's targeting the ninja. Okay. She's targeting the ninja with that one. But that's what I'm saying, where if she gets increased attack range, like this, that the one she casted right here in her ult where my mouse is doesn't reach these two people. Like that one right there doesn't reach those two people, but she could be autoing them from further range. I'm nitpicking way too much. You guys get it. I've rambled on for too long. Swordsman dashes in a straight line, attacking all enemies in his path. If he succeeds in killing an enemy with his ultimate, the cooldown is reset. Oh my god. It's like old Akali. Oh my god, it's so insane. Where does he start in this fight? I can't even see him. Oh, he was over here, and he dashes there, and then dashes there. I'm having trouble finding where he is at the beginning of this. Okay, there he is. He's just in the middle. Okay. I couldn't see him. Oh, wait, no, it's because he's up there, and he ulted way down there. Wait. Okay, if he succeeds in killing an enemy with his ult, so he has to get the kill with the ult. It's not just if he kills anyone, because that would be even more broken, but that's so cool. That's awesome. And one notable thing, I had swordsman really like way lower than what a lot of other people had in their tier list for the demo. And most of the reason for that was swordsman was one of the best laning champions in the game and took towers among the fastest characters in the game. So in 2v2, 3v3, and 4v4, where taking towers gave way more gold than in 5v5, Swordsman and Magic Knight were really strong because their skill ones would just nuke the minion wave, and so the minions would naturally get pushed and hit the enemy tower, just like constantly over the whole like duration of laning phase. And so naturally, those two champions would take towers way faster than everyone else and snowball the game like crazy. But in 5v5s, where that's way less important, and the more important things were like team fights and Morguard fights, those two champions were way weaker than a lot of the other like mainstay melee carries like Ninja, Lancer, Pole Warrior, Cavalry, but he's always banned. Like way more important than, or those champions that I just listed were way stronger than Swordsman and Magic Knight. But if this ability, like it, all this stuff depends on numbers, guys, and how like well that they can kill people. But if an ability like this is strong enough to make him a good team fighter, then that something like that can make swordsman easily go really high in the tier list, because it covers up the main weakness of the character, where like he didn't really have a gap closing tool. That was the main thing he lacked, was CC and gap closing tool. If you give him a gap closing tool, now all of a sudden the strongest laning champion in the game, like one of them, all of a sudden can team fight now, and there's like a very few weaknesses besides like durability and CC. But if you're playing him as a carry, you don't need that stuff. So something like this could make this character insanely OP, and it looks cool as hell too. I am I I am on the boat in games like League where things like mobility creep and feature creep are starting to like, I am aware of those things. So, and they're giving a lot of characters a lot of mobility creep and feature creep and stuff like that in their ultimate spells. And this is another ultimate spell that looks like it does a ton of damage and has a ton of like access to kills, just like ninjas, where he is like dashing half the map away. And in my opinion, this game already had a really bad time to kill problem where fights were over too quickly and the characters did too much damage. So maybe with mods we can control some of this type of stuff. But in terms of just aesthetically and like what it adds to the character, super cool. I think aesthetically this is one of the coolest looking abilities and characters in the game now after having seen this. But I think it might be a tad unhealthy if it's too strong, but we'll see. All right, Berserker's ultimate dashes. Why is he getting a dash? All these characters are getting dashes. Dashes to a distant enemy and deals damage. The cooldown of Berserker's ultimate decreases as his current HP gets lower. Okay. I don't think that fits the theme of the character. The theme of the character is like Olaf. Obviously, he even looks like Olaf in League, or like a Master Yi or something like that, or a Warwick, where he doesn't have a dash. I guess Master Yi and Warwick do have dashes, but like he's more of a runs really fast at you with high damage, lifesteal, and attack speed, but he just runs in a straight line with high movement speed instead of like dashing to people. Like all these dashes being added to the game, in my opinion, are just going to make mages and ADCs worse than they already were, and they already were the two weakest like subclasses in the game before, and now you're just giving all these melee characters a bunch of dashes, and it's like, how are they going to function in a team? Like, even if you buff them from how they were in the demo to be stronger, especially marksman characters were terrible except for Archer. Even if you buff their logic to like attack at max range more, and you give them numbers buffs like damage and move speed buffs and stuff, like they're just going to get run down by all these assassins that all have a million dashes. So I'm not a fan of this one, because the thing, like, this one feels more out of place thematically and aesthetically for the character than this one does. Like, Swordsman looks like an assassin-y, like anime dashes all over the place kind of character anyway. Berserker was like the big burly, like two swords running at you attacking really fast character, and now he just gets a dash too, and it's kind of like, oh, it seems kind of weird for on a character like that. Oh my god, there's so much in this. Is it how? Oh, okay, no, there's not much more, but there is more than just ultimates to talk about. Sweet. Okay. Tactics implementation. I'll read first and then go into the screenshot. As the foundation of the match engine has undergone significant changes, major adjustments were needed for the existing tactics features. As mentioned in the previous devlog, since the match engine's gameplay now focuses on communication between players and team level plays, it became difficult to apply individual tactics separately within the existing structure. Accordingly, we are working on changes that allow you to adjust how the team responds to various situations during a match, based primarily on team level tactics. We plan to first test gameplay based on these team tactical settings and then gradually consider how to reintroduce individual tactics later. Okay. So, tactics: core, lane focus, top, mid, bottom. This seems weird that it's phrased like this. I guess if you're focusing on one side of the map, the mid laner usually is involved with everything that a team is doing. But having them auto included and top and bottom focused, like, so say I wanted to focus on one of these, so just say top, I guess. Say I wanted to focus on top for my core lane focus, but I wanted my mid laner, like my mid laner's playing a mage champ, they're playing Pyro. I want them to just sit mid and clear waves and get farm and just like farm up as much as possible to get their items. I wouldn't want them involved in my top lane and like top side of the map, even if it's in the jungle focus stuff, usually. Like that's one, it's like that's a nitpicky thing with this, but like having this be able to it would make more sense if this was a drop down or something where it was just like all the lanes individually, like top, mid, bot, like specifically as like a primary focus, and then like a secondary focus was one, or something along those lines. Because I'm wondering how this works, but auto including mid into one of your like core focuses seems kind of weird, and like it doesn't always fit what you're trying to do in a tactic like this. But we'll see. Early jungle style farming. Ooh, farming or cover, ganking or counter jungling. Okay, I see. Yeah, that's all fine. Early serpent attempt. Always attempt, concede, flexible. Wow, that's really cool. So I love what the idea is with this. It is, I'm hoping that like especially if you're playing as like a weak team, say you're playing as a weak team and you draft for like a strong bot lane and or like a pushing bot lane, and you're like, okay, I want to always attempt Serpent because theoretically my bottom side of the map has stronger champions than theirs, so we should be stronger than them when the Serpent spawns. But then, just because you're playing with weaker players or something, say your bot lane dies a bunch, and then you're weaker based on the gold and stuff in the game. If I have this set to always attempt because I have the stronger bot lane and I want to play towards that, but then I'm obviously much weaker because they died and have less gold. Well, then in the game, I don't want them to always attempt the Serpent, even though that was the initial game plan. I guess something like flexible is what that could mean, but I feel like I'm skeptical whether if I put always attempt Serpent, if they'll take into account like, well, what if they just feed in lane and are like way behind in gold, even if they are stronger like early game champions in theory. I wonder how that'll work. But I love that there's an option for always attempt and concede. That's really cool. I think that's a good like stuff like this is good and what I would expect out of a tactics screen like this. So it's cool to see. Top laner join for early Serpent. Really cool. Nice. This is very in-depth. I actually like that. Sweet. Objective setup, split push, flexible, group up. Awesome. Love that. Objective combat strategy. I wish the split push thing could be assigned to specific laners and champions like it was in the demo. I think that's necessary because sometimes your mid laner is playing an assassin champ. Because, well, sometimes if you picked assassin characters like ninja or pole warrior, depending on what the enemy picked in their lanes, you would like assign them to the good lane matchup, and then you would want your whichever player that you had on that character to be the one that was split pushing. So if my mid was on the ninja, I would want them split pushing bot while the Morguard's starting. And same thing, if it was the top laner, I want them to be the one split pushing and have the mid laner group up. So I feel like this should be player slash champion specific, and not just like an overall team thing. Because then I don't like, how do they know who they're gonna put in the side lane as a split push? Will it always be the top laner? Will it always be like, I don't know how that works. Objective combat strategy: poke, maintain distance, hard engage. Sweet, that's nice, very good. Who? Morguard buff usage. Oh, group is 514131. Oh, that's awesome. What? That is so cool that they have this as an option. That's wow. That's awesome. And then again, similar to the objective setup one, if you do choose 1-4 or 1-3-1, you absolutely should be able to specify which champions you want as the ones splitting. That's like necessary for stuff like this. Is like lane assignments. Tower siege, poke, maintain distance, or dive. Okay, that's okay. That's a little bit more nuanced, but like even having that as an option is great. Defensive tactics: defend pressured lane, force a fight. So this is just like wave clear under tower or like engage on them if they're like extended and pressuring. Okay, cool. Listen, way more options than what we had before. Okay, they go into some of the details. Core lane focus decides which area of the map to focus on during early laning phase. The corresponding jungle area. Okay, so it does include, the jungle on the side of the map that you select. Okay. Early jungle style, that's kind of the same as what they had before. Decides whether to contest or give up early Serpent during the laning phase. Top laner join for early Serpent. Self-explanatory. Group up as much as possible. This looks basically like what we can assume. Yeah, so this is all what we just assumed that they meant. If your team composition is strong in the late game but weak in the early game, you can always choose a strategy that focuses on growth and gives up serpents during the laning phase. Also, if your composition is suitable for initiating and diving, you can order aggressive plays. Yep. Yeah, like them giving us the options definitely like opens up comp like diversity in theory. Given that most of the champions are within a reasonable amount of power level from each other and that there's not like one way to play the game due to the champion strengths, but no, it's all great in theory. It's all awesome from what it looks like. Like I said, there's more specifics that, they're in an early access version of this game, and this is very early in development, but more specifics on lane assignments is one thing that I would think would be necessary with stuff like this. UI changes. Okay. Oh, sweet. Dude, this looks exactly like League, by the way. AD, AP, armor, MR, attack speed, move speed. Yeah, this is literally exactly like League of Legends HUD. The level 6, the cooldown for their skills. I think this is the skill 3 cooldown, and the blue dot is their ultimate. Oh, added. I forgot in the demo. That's right. I completely forgot. You couldn't even check this stuff in the middle of the game. You just saw their items. You didn't even see their base stats. Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. So now you can click on the champions and see their stats in real time. No, that's so good. It's pretty necessary, but it's so good that they added it. Nice. I'm very happy with that. Band pick UI improvements. They have all the base stat. Oh, they had the base stats in the max levels 12. Maybe we saw that before, but I don't remember that. But now we have all the the growth with level, the level 1 growth with level, and level 12 for all the base stats. Awesome, with all their ults and the description and the cooldowns and everything. Sweet. To prevent confusion about whether it is currently a ban turn or a pick turn, we've added visual effects indicating the phase. So if you know, okay, perfect. That was, I only had that happen to me like twice or something, but it did happen to me where I didn't know if I was banning or picking. So that's good. Addition of ultimates, improve the skill description UI, stat UI, hidden swaps. Previously, during the champs swap phase, you could see which champion the opponent selected for each position before deciding on your own swaps. To prevent the player from having too much of an advantage during lane matchups, we have modified it. We have modified it so you cannot see the opponent's swap status during the swaps. Oh, okay. So you see all the champions they pick, and then I'm guessing in the zoomed in version, you can't see it. But I'm guessing these are the 5 champions that they picked. But you just can't see what roles they go into. It disappears when you click on the bigger picture. That's kind of crazy. No, that's good. That makes sense. It's going to be a lot harder to draft because of that against the AI, but I mean, it's kind of like necessary in a game of League. So I guess the only thing I'll comment on with this is in the demo, roles were very flexible. Like most champions could go into like 3, 4, or 5 roles, where in most MOBA games, that's not the case. If you see a champion picked, you usually know what role it's going to go in, with like some exceptions. Like even in this picture right here, like in theory, you would think the marksman would go into the bot lane role just inherently from the history of like MOBA games and stuff, and that the bruiser fighter champion would be either jungler or top lane. As long as it's relatively common what role that a character goes in when the AI picks it, then this is awesome. But if it's usually random, then not to say that it's pointless, because it's not, but there's a difference between being able to infer what role a character goes in and then having it completely blind where you have no idea what roles the characters are going in, because then there's so much more RNG put into your drafting. Like you can pick a champion that counters one champion, but if they don't go into the lane together, the effectiveness of that counter pick is like drastically reduced. And that's something that like the AI could draft around. Like you could pick a champion in one round of the draft, and then one team picks to counter that champion. So then the first team purposely picks to where that champion and the counter pick aren't laning together. Like that happens in real MOBA games too, but it's not very common, I would say. Like flex picks and stuff. That's not super common. It does happen, but it's not like it doesn't happen all the time. Whereas when you're just going into a draft where the enemy roles are completely blind, I feel like that would happen like a very large amount of time if the characters can just randomly be assigned roles. Like if there's not a usual place where the characters go, then I feel like the effectiveness of counter picks is like super, super low, most of the time. But we'll see. Well, this is like all speculation as usual with the dev updates. A lot of the features they put in sound awesome if they're implemented correctly. The likelihood that all of them are implemented in a way that makes sense and is fun is somewhat low, I would say, but it's not that I don't want them to attempt those things, because they make the game better. Like stuff like this makes the game better, but if it is implemented very poorly, it would have a negative like feeling, in my opinion, when it comes to drafting. But we'll see how it is when it comes out. I expect there to be things that aren't perfect when it comes out, and things that I don't like, and things that I really like when the game comes out. So yeah, that'll all be up for debate in the future. But for now, that's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. This is Devlog 20 for Teamfight Manager 2. I'll catch you all next time. Peace.